Actually, he did. He saw the opening there and exploited it for all it was worth. And we saw quite a few. Although I don't think that it determined the outcome of the party necessarily in of itself, we saw quite a few of the working class voters, particularly white working class voters, that went from supporting Bernie in the primary to supporting Trump in the general election. At the DNC convention itself, we heard refrains of no TPP along with no more war over and over on the floor of the convention. The base of the party itself were opposed to these neoliberal policies, and they were for fighting for $15 minimum wage, for free college tuition, and against these multinational corporate trade deals, which the party leadership was promoting very aggressively. That should have told the Democratic Party where the people were at. Unfortunately, Trump, early on in his campaign, talked about these trade deals, has framed them negatively, that we should be against them, and later on, of course, he said we need to renegotiate them, which is kind of his way of rolling back on that. But at that time, he knew absolutely to exploit this weakness that the Democratic Party was continuing to promote. So in that regard, the Democratic Party walked right into that. They had the chance to change. They certainly could have brought on. They could have, at least in messaging, talked in a much more populist tongue. But there was almost a rejection of this kind of embrace of populism, and it was very obvious, going back to the time of Occupy, that more and more this kind of collective mindset among the electorate was taking hold. So not to mention the fact of a lot of other things going on, such as police brutality and you know, the activism around that. We saw a lot of, with Black Lives Matter, many protests and rallies in the street, but this is also a reflection not just about race, but about oppression in general, and as it manifested in the Black and communities and people and of color communities. So the party neglected to pick up on this and speak to this. And again, these are the communities that would be their base: the working class, communities of color, students, women. All of these, their very base was pursuit of prioritizing their needs was eschewed in favor of going after an ever-shrinking universe of voters, the suburban white voters or the white working class. As I mentioned before, the working class cohort and the communities of color are going to intersect soon, and therefore the party needs to prioritize and think of their needs together, and it remains to be seen if that's happening.